So the wait is finally over. Many of us have been following Skyrim modding for years, looking at some of these different multiplayer projects, and I'm sure many of you were skeptical that any of them would ever even release, and some didn't. But just yesterday, that changed with the closed beta release of Skyrim Together, a brand new Skyrim mod that's going to allow you to play Skyrim with your friends. There's a lot to go over in this video. I'm going to explain some of what I assume are your commonly asked questions, how certain things will work in the mod, as well as what things don't work or are not intended to work, such as being disabled, or even how you yourself can jump in and start playing the mod for yourselves and with some of your friends. So first and foremost, let's be clear, this is 100% Skyrim multiplayer. You can connect to a server with some of your friends, fast travel or teleport to them, and they will be there. You can see other people on the same world doing quests with you, doing combat. It is 100% Skyrim in multiplayer, and it's absolutely amazing. If you haven't heard of the Skyrim Together mod or team already, it's been a work in progress for quite a while at this point. I have videos dating back over 1 year covering some of their work and some of the updates they have been posting. Although I'm sure a lot of you guys are pretty curious as to how this mod actually works and how you can gain access to it, because it's not open to everybody, at least just yet. So first and foremost, how does it work? Well, we're in the closed beta, which means a couple of things. First and foremost, it's closed. It's not anyone can just download this and start playing. The major caveat being you have to be a Patreon to Skyrim Together. So some of the reasons they name for actually going this route rather than just a first off open beta is to actually measure some of the traffic they're going to get, and even further fix any bugs that do pop up or even stability concerns. As you can imagine, taking a fundamentally single player game and making it multiplayer isn't the easiest process. Plus even further, what Patreons actually qualify for this mod are literally anybody donating over $1. So if you have $1, you can start playing Skyrim multiplayer later today. Although there actually is another $20 option, and if you contribute over $20, you will get access to some of the higher tick servers. But if you don't have $1, or if you just don't want to give them $1, don't fret. The beta is only going to last a couple of weeks in its closed format, and then they're going to take a couple of weeks to actually fix some of the bugs and do some more stability testing, but then we will have the open beta. So anyone with a copy of Skyrim Special Edition, whether or not you want to contribute to their Patreon or not, will have access to this mod. As of right now, the beta is only going to be for Skyrim Special Edition, although in the future it's supposed to support Legendary Edition also, and even further, all these servers are hosted by the mod team. It's not like you have to buy a server or host your own server. Actually, you can't do either of those things. And for the beta, all these servers are hosted in Europe. So if you're like me in the US, you probably will have a higher ping, although I honestly haven't found that to be too big of an issue. As far as the how of playing this, effectively you're going to have to do a couple of things. First and foremost, obviously become a Patreon, and then you're going to download their launcher that's known as Harbor. This is going to be how you launch the mod, and it's a very easy process. And then also actually sign up on their website. This is key because it allows you to log in the launcher, but even further add in friends, those being the friends you're going to play the game with. If you're like me and maybe don't have a ton of friends, I've found countless people on the official Skyrim Together Discord server looking for others to play with, so I would check there if you find yourself in need of a companion. From there, you could launch the game through their launcher, and it'll take you into pretty much traditional Skyrim. Load into any save of your choosing, and you're going to find a couple of new UI elements, but also there's a totally new menu you can open by hitting the right control key. After that, you can invite a couple of friends to your own party session, or even alternatively get invited to one of theirs. And honestly, that's kind of it. Now just click launch, and wherever you're standing in that world will be where you connect on the server. Whoever you invited to that party will be on the server with you, although after starting a server, you can invite people after the fact. This mod does in fact feature a chat right out of the box, and even further, they implemented some commands that are very useful, such as being able to teleport to other players. And well, yeah, that's it. Now you are playing Skyrim with some of your friends. It's honestly an extremely simple process, one of the easier mods out there to install and get set up. Although again, this is a beta. The mod authors themselves have said that don't expect a traditional experience here. Things are going to break, and they know that. On their Discord, they have been extremely active, actually talking about some of the issues that they currently know about, as well as even since I've started playing in the past 20 hours or so, they've pushed out several updates, some of these fixing bugs, some of them breaking certain things. One of the components that really stood out to me is how smooth player-to-player interactions are. Like when you see other people walking with you from point A to point B, you really see them. Like they're right next to you walking. There's very little glitching, not much lag. When all of you are entering into a building, it's pretty much instant that everyone will disappear into the door just like NPCs did in traditional Skyrim. And even further, there are other fun mechanics such as PvP or even player reviving. PvP in particular can be quite a bit of fun and very satisfying to take down maybe your one annoying friend. Although in fairness, this definitely is a beta. Certain things just don't work, such as looting or chests. So when looting enemies or opening a chest, it's only going to be for you. It's not like you could store items in there for other people to take out. Even further, when you drop items, nobody else will see them. Those are also only client side. And what I would say is actually the biggest issue you'll encounter is NPC synchronization. So you'll sometimes just stumble upon somebody swinging at the air. That's because you can't see the NPC there. Whether it be due to desync issues or some other kind of issues that I'm not aware of, oftentimes when you're fighting somebody or somebody else is fighting somebody, it'll show up at different places on each other's screens, making it so it's actually kind of difficult to do co-op versus AI. There are also reports that certain spells were leading to crashing, but all in all, the experience I've had is very smooth. I've definitely experienced quite a few different crashes, but with the new patches that they have been adding, those have been resolved. And just recently I was playing for 50 minutes straight without much of a problem. I didn't get any crashes, I got some lag here and there, but otherwise it was a pretty smooth experience. Some of the interesting things you can do, you can fast travel to opposite ends of the map. It's not like you guys have to actually play together, although it is Skyrim Multiplayer, you probably do want to play together. You can have up to 8 people in total on a server, and I got pretty close to this. And although I assumed that would come with additional server instability or even more bugginess, it really wasn't too big of an issue. All of us were standing in Whiterun pretty close to each other, and there was very few issues in that regard. But also, if you just want to mess around, there are things like console, so you could spawn in enemies, you could spawn in your own items, but even further, there is complete mod support here also. If you want to play Skyrim with some of your friends and also use mods along the way, you can. I experimented with this using a bunch of Creation Club items because I had them in my inventory. These work very similar to mods anyway. And basically, the way it's going to work is if both of you have the mod installed, both of you will see it. If only one of you has the mod installed, the other people won't actually see what you're holding, or it may look like a glitched out item. But even just on the Skyrim Together Discord, there is numerous reports of people playing through different mod packs or even just some of the larger DLC size mods together with friends. And there's even some other features added in, like player reviving. When you see somebody that is downed, you can go up to them and try and revive them. Alternatively, if they do fully die and no one does revive them after 45 seconds, they will simply respawn at Whiterun, so not too big of a deal. And to be frank, I think if you and maybe 1 or 2 of your friends have literally $1, I would definitely get this mod. It is amazing. You of course can wait for the full open beta, but at the same time, it's pretty awesome and a great way to spend the weekend. Although one thing to be clear, there are still several bugs and glitches in this. Of course, they are being patched by the mod authors. They have been extremely active in these first 24 hours, but I wouldn't go into this expecting to do one full playthrough in co-op mode. It's very polished, but there still are certain issues, especially if you're trying to explore new regions or even do quests. Sometimes there are some issues with quests not progressing and you'll have to use console commands to fix these, which honestly, half the time that's a problem with vanilla Skyrim anyway, even when not playing multiplayer. But I would keep your expectations in check. There's a lot you can do. You could definitely do a lot of cool stuff, but I would stick to messing around or just doing short quests and not really trying to commit to an entire playthrough just yet. This is still only the beta. I wouldn't treat it like the full release of the mod. But even further, maybe in the next day or two after they get a few more updates shipped out, would you guys be interested in some live streams of this mod? It already has been really fun just playing with randoms on the Skyrim Together Discord, but I'd also love to play with a bunch of you guys. 8 people is actually quite a bit, and it's probably more than I've gotten on most Fallout 76 servers, since a lot of times the server gets full. But yeah, Skyrim now has co-op, which is pretty insane. We see so many of these large overhaul or even DLC size mods over the years, and so few end up getting released. Yet this one is one step closer to a fully fledged release, and honestly, even right now as it stands, it is a very unique experience and huge accomplishment by this mod team. But either way, before we end things off, I do want to share today's psychology fun fact of the day, and this one's going to be a bit more metaphorical. I'm sure many of you know about the metaphor of the human consciousness or even the human brain as it's compared to just various inanimate objects. Like even just right now, what is most comparable to the human brain in society? What technology or invention? Most people would probably say the computer. But something interesting, if you actually look at the history of psychology or even just the history of humans, what two things are actually being compared and what shape this metaphor takes on has changed pretty dramatically. One of the original ones, dating back all the way to the 17th and 18th century, century was the clock. People thought the human mind was comparable to a clock in the sense that there were certain fundamental mechanisms, and one of the big beliefs here was determinism. So many of the leading psychologists, even though it really wasn't so much of a field back then, thought that basically once things were set in motion, every action, every behavior you did take could be predicted, or you could see what the causes were, and it all dates back to one thing. Thus, the human mind was like a clock. When you set the clock in motion, a very predictable pattern will emerge. But then later on, as technology did advance, we got things like the switchboard. If you're not familiar, the switchboard is basically how phones used to work. You'd have to plug in certain things to connect callers. And then finally today, we graduated to the computer, the most recent metaphor for the mind. I found this particularly interesting because it's pretty likely that the computer won't be the final stop. The clock lasted hundreds of years, the switchboard didn't last nearly as long, but even still, how long will the computer last as this metaphor? Either way, as always again, I thank you all for watching. Hopefully you guys found this video enjoyable and informative. But with that, I hope to see you guys all next time. Later.